is Wink Tracks the Tropics, powered by the Weather Authority.
When the tropics are active, timing is everything. The Weather Authority is keeping you prepared.
The latest update did come in from the National Hurricane Center. Helene moving north-northeast. Winds have increased up to 90 miles per hour.
Keeping you informed.
It's now 170 miles northwest of us. And as we had mentioned, this is a major Cat 4 hurricane. This is going to have major landfall implications.
Southwest Florida has seen its fair share of storms in the past few years.
We are leaving immediately after this because it is not safe. You're starting to see some of these debris, sticks flying up and out, and it's one of the reasons why Sanibel is evacuated. It clearly is not safe out here.
But our slice of paradise has bounced back in ways we'd never expect.
It's tough.
We have each other, and that's a good thing.
I wouldn't have made it without Marianne. We're gonna make it though. We're gonna make it.
Wink News has been there with you every step of the way, and that won't change.
Yes, we avoid the worst part of the storm, but the wind field's growing and the pressures are deepening. We're going to feel more of that influence on the back end with the surge.
From forecast cones to important safety reminders, the Weather Authority has you covered. You're watching Wink Tracks the Tropics. Hello, and welcome to Wink Tracks the Tropics. I'm Wink's Weather Authority, Val Simpson, and we have so much to talk about. There's so much going on right now. We have Tropical Storm Umberto, which became a tropical storm, and it was assigned the name Umberto yesterday. We also have Gabrielle that is still rolling around there, moving east in the Atlantic. And finally, Invest 94L. And a lot of attention on Invest 94L. Today, we're going to be talking about that, and we're also going to be talking about, is it possible that Umberto and future Imelda, which is Invest 94L, would be interacting with each other? And to talk about that, it's going to be happening with our panel of Mets, as you can see right here. What's up, guys? How's everybody doing?
Hey,
Doing great. Happy Thursday.
Oh, yes. One day closer to the weekend.
So excited.
That's right. And we have a really nice weekend coming, right, guys?
Oh, we do. Yeah. Lots of sunshine, a little beach action, a little pool.
There we go. We love that. Loving that. I want to remind everybody, if you're tuning in right now, that we are going to be taking your questions and comments on our Wink YouTube channel page. There we go. It's going to look like this. You can leave us your questions and your comments, and we'll answer them in real time, so you can be a part of this streaming show as well. But without any further ado, let's get right into it. I'm going to do a quick little review, and then I'm going to bring the team back on so that we can discuss everything that's happening right now. So here's a quick overview for everybody. We have Gabrielle, like I mentioned to you earlier, right now a Category 1 hurricane. It continues to lose intensity as it moves east in the Atlantic. It is going through cooler waters as well. We also have Tropical Storm Umberto right now, and then Invest 94L, which has a 90% chance of development. It's very possible that it's going to become Imelda, which is the next name on the list. But let's take a closer look at Umberto, because according to the National Hurricane Center, this will be the next hurricane. So right now, Umberto has max sustained winds of 50 miles per hour. It's moving northwest at 8 miles per hour. And as it continues to move in that direction, it will continue to gain a little bit of strength. So it's very possible that by Sunday, take a look at this, it's going to become a Cat 3 hurricane, another major hurricane. If that happens, this would be the third hurricane of the season and the third major hurricane of the season as well with Umberto. This is the latest from the latest advisory from 11 o'clock from the National Hurricane Center. So here's a little recap in terms of the list and the names and where we're at. And I kind of mentioned that to you guys. So we are at Umberto right now. A tropical storm could potentially be the next Category 3 hurricane, so we'll be updating that. And then obviously the next name on the list, like I mentioned, would be Imelda, and that would be assigned to Invest 94L. So let's take a deeper dive on Invest 94L, because everybody's attention is on this potential system, and the reason why is because some of the tracks and a lot of the models are hinting that it's going to be moving closer to the southeast coast of the United States. So attention here. All right, now what does this mean for us? I always want to take and make that highlight, because obviously us here in Southwest Florida and Florida in general, we have a front that's headed our way, cold front, and it's not going to be bringing us cooler temperatures, but it definitely is going to be bringing us here locally drier air. And another thing that this front is going to be doing, it's going to act like a barrier of some sort for Florida, so that keeping these systems way to the east of us, and that is a good thing. So let's clear that out of the way first and make sure that everybody understands that. And now we're going to move on to what the potential computer models are saying. Where is 94L, in parentheses, Imelda, going to be headed? And it seems like a lot of the models are agreeing that it's going to have some sort of an impact in perhaps the Carolinas from what we see on here. Again, I do want to mention that the system hasn't yet formed, so until that happens, we won't have a clear cone yet to see exactly where it's headed. But this is what, with the information that we do have currently, what the models are forecasting that Milda is going to do. This is going to be a very interesting steering, though, because we have a lot going on right now. We have Umberto, which is gaining strength. It's going to become a Category 3 hurricane. Then we have Invest 94L. And the reality is that the possibilities here are almost, I'm not going to say endless, but there are a lot of possibilities. One thing that can happen is what we saw previously with the spaghetti models that I just showed you, is that Invest 94L takes that northern path and it ends up impacting the southeast coast of the United States. But also, because we have Umberto and it's going to be steering more towards that curve that we've been seeing with previous storms, which is headed into the open Atlantic, there's a chance that Umberto might also pull Invest 94 Imelda towards also the Atlantic. So we still have yet to see what ends up developing in the next couple of days. This is why it's worth watching, because as of right now, there is a possibility that it could definitely move and continue that northern path, or Umberto can pull that kind of like a magnet style and take it with it to the Atlantic. And now something that we talked about yesterday, and I do want to mention again today, is the possibility of interaction with these two storms. Is it likely? Could this happen? Is there still a potential? Is this something that we might see? So one of the scenarios is that they repel and deflect each other, and they do this kind of little dance in that infinity type of motion symbol. And then another scenario could be that they rotate around each other if they're the same size and strength. So we yet have to watch for that. Obviously, right now, we already know that Umberto is going to become a Cat 3 hurricane, so a much stronger. Or the third scenario could be that the stronger storm ends up absorbing the weaker one. But this all is going to happen in the event that they're closer in proximity to each other. So we still have, we have to wait and see on that. However, I do want to bring our team of Mets to the conversation. You guys, we talked briefly about this yesterday. We have a nice graphic to explain the Fujiwara effect in this case. Do you guys still feel that there's a potential that we might see this happen?
I would say there is. Now, there's definitely a little bit less of a potential, at least compared to what we were looking at yesterday. Now, it doesn't always need to mean that they're going to do that little magical dance around each other. They can still influence each other, especially if Umberto ends up, being a very powerful hurricane. It can absolutely influence the path of Invest 94L, which eventually will become Tropical Storm Imelda. So it's interesting to watch the interactions between the two, in addition to the steering patterns that are already in place. There's a lot of different factors that play into these individual storms. That's definitely going to be the case with what is Invest 94L right now. That's why you're seeing a little bit of a wishy-wash of where those spaghetti models have gone. I know yesterday a lot of them wanted to drag it towards the north and point it back to sea, but today a lot of them now making its way onshore into the southeastern Atlantic coast. And again, that would likely be due to Umberto not having quite as much of an effect on it as what the models were hinting at yesterday. Nikki, Oceana, you guys can add on to that.
Yeah, and as we're talking about the steering flow, you also have to remember the intensity of the storm is also going to be or basically the steering is going to be impacted by the intensity. So a weaker storm will kind of drift off a little bit more so, rather than a stronger storm will actually be more influenced by that turn of the high. So that's something that we'll be watching for as well, especially with Umberto going to be strengthening to a major hurricane. It's definitely going to take that sharper turn if that intensity is a bit stronger, and if it is going to be influencing 94L like you were talking about with the Fujiwara effect, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely. And taking off of that, we have to look at the model consistency. So like Josh had mentioned yesterday, or even last night, a lot of the models were kind of leaning towards going away from the United States, whereas today, as of our latest 8 a.m. models, a lot of them are starting to be more consistent to a landfall on the Carolina coast or the Georgia coast. So that is something that we're watching, but the thing that we are seeing a lot of consistency on is the tracks right along Florida's coast. So it's looking more favorable that the east coast of Florida is in good to go and in the clear, but as far as the tracks difference between last night, that biggest change was for the Carolina coastline.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest takeaway here, Southwest Florida. We're good to go, all right? We're still watching this one because, yeah, it's likely to pass pretty close to the east coast of Florida. And we've mentioning the word consistency a lot. Consistency breeds confidence in these forecasts. So the fact that we've seen these model runs consistently keeping this storm at least a little bit offshore Florida east coast is what tells us that we're not expecting impacts to Southwest Florida. Now, this recent shift in a lot of the models taking more of that track into the coastal Carolinas or perhaps into coastal Georgia, we have to see if that trend continues, I'd say for at least the next 24 hours. And if that does hold true, then it would become more likely and we would have a little bit more confidence in that forecast track.
Yeah. Guys, another observation that I've been noticing is that any storm that ends up getting to hurricane strength winds ends up becoming a major hurricane. We're going to probably be seeing that with Umberto today. What do you think is causing that?
Well, one thing is Umberto is moving very slowly, and so it's able to sit over those abnormally warm Atlantic waters for a longer period of time. So it's just able to fuel itself, and we keep talking about how the waters are so warm, and that is just the perfect ingredients for the system to strengthen. And that's why these storms have been so strong as of late, because, you know, they're in some great conditions. If they're not dealing with the shear or the Saharan dust, they're in those warm waters that will just allow for it to continue to intensify.
Yeah, and we've been seeing that these storms have been having some trouble with the dry air from the Saharan dust and also the shear. But we're looking that, you know, the more they move to the west, the more favorable those conditions are.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting to see Invest 94L right now. It's making its way over Hispaniola, which has some mountains. And we know that that's kind of adding to the messiness going on with that storm right now. It looks like a mess, but that's why we're thinking once that makes its way out of Hispaniola and into the Bahamas, we all know how warm the waters are there. We could very well see this develop into that tropical storm this weekend like we're thinking, and even a hurricane based on all of that warm water and all of that energy that we have in the area. It is very possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got to continue watching. I guess that we're watching here in Southwest Florida because this is just a reminder that hurricane season is not over yet. We still have the other side of the mountain from the peak, the other side of the mountain to continue watching. And also a question for the folks in the Carolinas. What do you think they need to be watching, you guys? What do you think they need to be focusing on or paying attention to right now?
Yeah, the biggest thing, again, is going to be model trends. If you're looking at it like us, you look for that consistency in those models like they are showing this morning, taking more of that northerly route. What you have pulled up here is the European model, which does agree with many of those hurricane models. Also, the American GFS model is in agreement. So the first thing we look for is agreement between models. It looks like we have that. The next thing we'll look for is consistency between model runs. And if we see that consistency, then it will become more likely that they will be looking at some direct impacts from this system up along the southeastern Atlantic coast of the United States. And folks that live in those states, you know, like we say, the best thing to watch for is going to be your local news and local meteorologists that will tell you more so exactly what you should be expecting, just like we're telling our Southwest Florida viewers close at home that we are not anticipating direct impacts from this one.
Very good. Okay, we want to take a little bit of time because right now we are watching our comments and questions on YouTube. So if you're watching us right now from our Facebook page, or if you're watching us from our website, winknews.com, I invite you to go ahead and watch us on our YouTube channel, because that's where we're taking questions and comments from. Let's see, I am going to make an exception. I am going to see, because I do see that there's a lot of people connected on Facebook right now. We have Joey Santos. He's saying, please stay away from Florida.
Right? Please.
That's what we all want.
Yeah.
But the good news is we're not seeing that as of right now. But as you just mentioned, we're still in a very hot point of the season. Late September, October is still a very active time. And I think we talked about it a couple of days ago as how now the focus is going to shift more so towards watching storms developing out in the Gulf and the Caribbean. And those are more so the storms that we need to worry about. I know I've been getting a lot of comments from people like, the season's been so quiet, nothing's been heading our way. And I'm like, well, the Atlantic storms are not really our storms. So the focus for us here in Southwest Florida, unfortunately, like this is the time of year where we start to see that activity ramp up for us.
Yeah, we have some more comments coming in. Nancy Augustine, she's saying, please stay away from the East Coast. Stephanie Grant, she's saying, it looks bad. We have Casper Gregory. He's also leaving a comment. He says, potential heavy rainfall into the highlands of the Carolinas could be disastrous. Please remain weather aware. So I think a lot of people are definitely watching right now. They're definitely keeping a close eye on what's happening. I know that sometimes, you know, we live here in Southwest Florida, but we might have friends or family interest in the Carolinas. So definitely it's a moment to stay weather aware. I do want to mention, and I want to share this with everybody, we did get a call this morning to our weather department from a Cape Coral neighbor asking us, Mike, shout out to Mike if you're listening, asking that he was going to be traveling, but it was going to be on the west side of the Carolinas, not the coastal. And he said that he wanted to know if he should board up his house, because obviously we're not yet out of hurricane season. So that is definitely a personal, it's a question of, you know, do you feel safer if you're going to leave home knowing that, you know, we're not yet out of the woods in terms of hurricane season or whatnot. But shout out to Mike. Thank you for your call today. We love helping our neighbors out here in Southwest Florida. And of course, safe travels. We were just talking about off camera about cruising and cruises along the Bahamas and so on. So people that might be traveling, this is a good time to pay attention to everything that's going on. What do you guys think?
100%. I mean, we know the cruises. I know there's a lot of people going on cruises in September and October. It's always a risky time to do so, but like we've said, you know, it's the risk that you take. And we've actually gotten pretty lucky as far as the cruises. I mean, I don't think there's been any issues in the Bahamas so far, but with this Invest 94L, that's for sure going to bring, at the very least, a lot of heavy rainfall. I'm sure we're going to start seeing some of those cancellations if we haven't already. And it is something to think about, you know, if you're traveling during hurricane season and you're leaving your home, I understand that question that Mike had earlier, because if it depends on how long you're gone for, but you don't want to leave your home high and dry and then something develop in the tropics. So it's definitely some reason to keep an eye on it, no matter if you're going to be here or not.
Yeah, yeah. I have another comment coming in. It's a question actually from Tim. This is on our YouTube page. It says, how many different models are there? Who wants to take a shot of that?
Oh, there are a lot. And they keep adding more of them. I mean, we have our solid ones. You all know of the GFS, the American model. You have the European model. In addition to that, there's a Canadian one. There's a German one. I believe there's an Asian one. Then you have more specific models that run based off of specific storms. We call those typically the hurricane models. Those are where you see the spaghetti models out there. I'm not going to name them all off, but yeah. I mean, there's got to be at least at least maybe 10 different ones of those. And each of those models all have ensemble iterations between them. So the American and GFS model, they each have like 50 different individual models that run based off of, you know, different initial starting points and different factors that might be in the environment. So there's a lot of lines. There's a lot of spaghetti out there.
And also we are now watching those Google AI models, which they've been very interesting to look at, to track. So that's another one that we're going to be probably using more so over the coming years as they continue to improve. And I'm sure there's going to be more AI models that do come out. So we just continue to see this technology improve, and that just helps us with the science of understanding tropical weather, as well as tracking it out to keep everybody safe.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we're going to see probably in the near future, more integration when it comes to AI and such. So good point, Nikki. Okay, I want to go ahead and change gears just for a little bit because I know, like, you know, we always say, I forgot to mention this at the beginning, at the top of the show, but we always bring in a little extra in addition to the tropics. And today, Oceana is bringing us the hurricane tip of the day. And I know that a lot of you are new to the area, so Oceana, take it away.
Yeah, no, Val, thanks. So if you are new to the area, hurricane prep might be a little bit new to you. I say this every time because here in Southwest Florida, natives to Florida, it's second nature. But here's something you might not have thought about. I want to talk about preparing your pets today. As we know, they are another member of our family, and there's some important things that you can do. So number one is going to be that supply kit. So I talked about Go kits earlier this week, and I'll talk about them again, I'm sure. But what you want to put in there is dog and cat supplies, and even if you've got rabbits, guinea pigs, think about your pets when you are preparing for storms. You're going to want to pack 3 days at least worth of food and water. You got their medicines if your pet's on antibiotics. You've also got a collar and a name tag. Always going to want to have that on your pet, of course. And a life vest, if you can fit it, and if you pack life vests for you and your family, you should absolutely pack one for your pet as well. Now, over in the more comfortable department, if you have the space available, or if you are planning on riding out the storm at home, if you live in a more inland area where storm surge wouldn't be an issue, then you're going to want to think about comfort for your dog. I know that thunder really bothers my dog. She freaks out. It makes me really sad when that happens, you know, with the fireworks, but I know she's not the only one. So there's treats that can help calm them down for that. Of course, things that will calm them, like a thunder shirt is another thing that I put on my dog. It's like compression. They make those if you are interested in investing, and it helps kind of keep them calm. Blankets as well, and a crate and a bed, of course. And then other things to think about. Microchipping your pets is number one. You should always do this. That way, if you get separated from your animals and someone turns them into a shelter or a veterinarian, they can track that and they will be able to reconnect you with your pet. And another thing that you might not think of is keep a photo of you and your pet on hand. If you don't have one, take one of you and your pet. That's proof of ownership if you need to go claim your pet if they got out. And that is also why it's so important to keep them on a collar, keep them on a leash. And I also want to bring up another fact. If you have, they sell them at Petco. They're a collapsible water bowl, and they're really handy. They don't take up any room at all. They just smush. So I highly recommend getting those for your pet to put in your kit so that it doesn't take up too much room.
Oh, wow. Those are all great tips, you guys. And I know all of you have pets, so these do come in handy. You probably learned something new. And if you're watching us and you have a tip that worked for you during a hurricane, why don't you go ahead and share that with us so that we can share it to everybody else? We're still taking comments and questions, and I do want to make a little stop because we have a very interesting comment here from Casper Gregory, and he says, please let Josh know that he is missed here in Tallahassee. Y'all got a good one with him. So shout out. Anything for Casper, Josh?
I know Casper. He's been a great friend on social media the past few years. So I appreciate him tuning in to this broadcast too, because again, we're not that far away, right? State of Florida, we're all one big neighborhood. We're always looking out for each other. And that's what we're here to do.
Yep. Okay, very good. Still taking some comments coming in. This is from F Mommy. She says they only hire the best of the best. I guess.
Thank you. That's very
I don't know if that was piggybacking the other comment from Casper over there. All right, guys. I know that up next we have Nikki. You brought us Science in 60 Seconds. I know that you guys love this segment that we have, so I'm going to have Nikki take it away. I am going to punch in your graphic because I know that you are on weather too, so just bear with me here. I'm trying to do 20 million things at the same time. I think, let's see if this is the one. Here we go. Nikki, this one is for you.
Okay, well, I actually took this photo a couple of weeks ago, and if you look very closely, you will see clouds that look a bit like ocean waves. Now, those are called Kelvin-Helmholtz clouds, or KH clouds, a little bit easier to say there. Now, they signify turbulence or instability in the atmosphere. So if you take a look at the center of your screen, that cloud at the top is where you see those rolling clouds that look like those ocean waves. Now, this develops when there are two layers of air and they are moving at significantly different speeds. So the top layer of air is moving a lot faster than that bottom layer, and that is creating creating that shear. And so basically that top cloud is rolling over, that top layer of air is rolling over that bottom, giving it that wave-like appearance. And again, this is something that's pretty rare to see. So for all of our wink weather watchers, if you ever look up into the sky, you see this, please send some snaps our way, because we always love to see your photos, but these are some really interesting cloud formations. And again, they indicate that the environment is unstable. And so it's really neat to see in our skies.
I have a question, Nikki. Can you surf those?
Can you surf those? I don't know if you want to do that.
Where did you take that picture?
This is actually in Colorado, and I will say that
awesome.
Colorado has some very interesting cloud formations.
Oh,
One
yeah.
of my favorite are the lenticular clouds that form over the mountains. So
Yes.
that's always a really neat sight to see. It's just because of the mountainous terrain, they have some more interesting cloud formations than what we get to see.
I've always wanted to see a lenticular one. I guess I got to go to Colorado.
You have to do it. Go to the mountains.
I should.
Yeah, we need to change sceneries for a little bit. I think we have some more comments coming in right now. Let me see. This is from Casper. He's commenting again. He says a kiddie pool with sod can be a great temporary restroom if your dogs are
Love
petrified
that.
of water.
I am adding that. See, this is, I'm going to make a Facebook post and I'm going to ask for all of the veteran hurricane people's tips, because you learn the best through experience. So that's an amazing tip. I never even thought of that.
I know. This is why I love that we are able to interact with our viewers, because you never know. We can be talking about a topic and somebody else can learn something new about it because they can contribute to it. All right. Well, finally, I do have our Weather Watcher Spotlight with Josh. Josh, let us know what you have for us today. I'm going to try to punch here. Let me see.
Yeah, absolutely. While we're
one?
on the topic of clouds, I got a really cool picture for you. It came in last night. One of our amazing weather watchers submitted it to our Facebook page. It's not that one. It's the one there it is. Beautiful.
There
Look
we
at
go.
this. What do we call this? A shelf cloud. It's
Gorgeous.
beautiful. This is on Sanibel. These will typically form out ahead of a thunderstorm, or when we get these boundary fronts where pretty much you have cold air that rushes in out of a thunderstorm. It pushes the air upwards. It creates almost like a shelf of a cloud. It's a beautiful view beforehand, but typically what you'll realize is after it passes over you, you're stuck in the middle of a thunderstorm. But this is just a beautiful picture there from Kathleen. So thank you for sending that one in from Sanibel yesterday.
I love the colors in that.
It is beautiful.
That's
It looks
art.
like a painting. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Oceana. Okay, so if you want to become a weather watcher, remember that you can go to our website, winknews.com. You can sign up, find that link. The link will provide two things. One, a release form for you to sign so that we can use your pictures and your videos and publish them here on our Wink Tracks the Tropics streaming show, also on our TV newscast, and we can also share it on our social media pages. The whole entire Wink Weather Authority team can do that. And then number two, it gives you an exclusive access to a private Facebook group, and that's where you get to mingle with other weather watchers, and we make sure that we keep those bots away from you so that they won't bother you at all. Okay, I want to come back because I do have another comment coming in. This is a question, actually. Let me see if I can find it. It went away. Kate, can you give me a hand?
Well, while you look for it,
Kate
I
here.
did want to mention, we didn't mention this earlier, but Oceana mentioned just how warm the water are over the Bahamas and how Invest 94L is likely to track over the Bahamas. The fact that we don't have a storm yet, but it's going to bring impacts to land within the next 48 to 72 hours as a likely storm. Something to watch for, potential tropical cyclone. We call it a potential tropical system to make it easier, but sometimes the National Hurricane Center will issue those. They come with a forecast cone even before it comes an organized system, just because it's going to impact land. You guys can add into that, but it's just something I thought of just because we're kind of getting close to it.
Yeah, we should be seeing that shortly based on the tracks that we're seeing. It's definitely going to bring some sort of impact to the Bahamas, regardless of what happens to it, whether it just be a lot of heavy rain. It's just going to affect the residents there as far as their day-to-day lives. If it's going to be heavy rainfall all day, that's where it's going to develop a lot of that, warm water. So I wouldn't be surprised if they released a PTC.
Yeah, very good. Okay, here we go. This is the last question, and we're running out of time. So, John A., this one is for you. He says, I know that we have nothing to worry about with the current track storms, but if Florida would take a storm from east to west over Florida, is that better for us on the Gulf side in regards to storm surge?
Yeah, definitely, because we're not getting those onshore winds pushing the water towards the coastline. Instead, you would have it tracking across the peninsula. One, it would be losing fuel because it's no longer over water, and the interaction with land would cause it to break down a bit. So we would see some weakening, and we wouldn't really have such a big impact when it comes to surge. Again, it's just all where those winds are whipping around the system, so it wouldn't be as big of a problem for us.
Great, there you go. Anything you guys want to add to that?
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah, very good. Yes, of course we do. We only have the best and most talented Mets here at the Wink Weather Authority. Okay, guys, we're running out of time. This is all for today. I want to thank you, the very talented Mets. Thank you, my panel of Mets, always for having my back and being a part of the show. I know you're all very busy. And also, I want to thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in to Wink Tracks the Tropics. We'll see you back again tomorrow at 11, Monday through Friday. See you then. Bye.